having a great Labor Day weekend. I cannot believe how fast this year and the summer has flown by. Flown by so fast that I have neglected doing any Bible reading videos. Honestly, I actually intended to do this video last month and last weekend, but ran into some technical difficulties and didn't get to do it. So after another week of setbacks and trials, I figured I'd try again. So as you've seen from the intro of this video, that we're going to be in the book of Job. The thing about Job, this passage in Job, is it's not just what it's saying in the book of Job. It's the idea and the concept most of us in the 21st century have as Job. A lot of times we hear things like, oh, to have the patience of Job. I don't know if you've read the book of Job, but Job wasn't really a laid-back, easygoing, patient guy. He really was honest with God about his feelings and his frustrations. But the thing about Job, the focus is really more on his suffering than his patience. Because Job suffered a lot. And Job actually got real bold and raw with God many times. But yet he never cursed God. And the wisdom of Job is he knew God had a purpose for his suffering and his trials. So that's the context of Job 23:10. So let me get my Bible and let's get into it. And we're going to be jumping back and forth through the book of Job, but let's jump into the focal passage of Job 23:10. Now, in the heading for chapter 23, mine, it says Job's eighth speech, a response to Eliphaz, which this is one of Job's friends who is trying to push Job's buttons and get him to curse God for all of his suffering. So let's look at the focal passage and see what Job is saying to his friend. But he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I will come out as pure as gold. For I have stayed on God's path, I have followed his ways and not turned aside. Now this is Job talking to his friend, explaining to his friend why he will not curse God. So Job's already said that he knows why he's suffering, because God is testing his faith and growing his faith and his patience. And that's really a lot of the theme in the Old Testament. God testing his people. God refining his people. God allowing his people to suffer and endure hardships to test them and make them stronger. Now I want to flip back to, I really want to go way back to Job 3. And this is when Job first addresses God. And listen to these words and let me know if this sounds like somebody who is like sitting here twiddling and saying, oh, thank you, Lord, I am so blessed. Listen to how distraught Job is. Let the day of my birth be erased, and the night I was conceived, let that day be turned to darkness. Let it be lost even to God on high. Now, Job is sitting here saying, God, he's cursing the day he was born. I know I've experienced this feeling a lot since my accident. I've cursed the day I had my accident. And a lot of times I've wished that I would have died in the accident, because the struggles and the hardships in life can be overbearing. But Job does not curse God. Now let's flip forward a little bit to Job's verse 6. Listen to Job. This is his second time he was talking to the same guy he's talking to in 23. He said, if my misery could be weighed and my troubles could be put on scales, they would outweigh all the sands of the sea. That is why I spoke impulsively, for the Almighty has struck me down with these sorrows. Job is being raw. He's not sitting here, we got this idea that Job is just sitting here being quiet and being patient. But Job really is not. He's venting towards God. He's venting towards his friends about God. Because he's human like us. He's struggling with all the things that God is allowing to happen in his life. But in his wisdom, Job knew how God works. Job knew how God uses trials and suffering to shape us. And this is something that God has really been revealing to me. Because I get so convicted when I get frustrated with God. I'm like, God, why? Why this? Like just this week I had to replace the battery in my car and cancel some plans to get away for the holiday weekend. And God, I was like Job, I'm like, God, why? How much longer? But like Job, I can say, I know when God is done refining me and done testing me, as the prophet Malachi says, I will be refined in the refiner's fire and pure as gold. And that's what God is doing. Go back to 23. Listen to the beginning of chapter 23. I'm going to start at verse 2. My complaint today is still a bitter one, and I try not to groan aloud. If only I knew where to find God, I would go to his court and lay out my case and present my arguments. Then I would listen to his reply and understand what he says to me. Would he use his great power to argue with me? No, he would give me a fair hearing. Honest people can reason with him. So I would be forever acquitted by my judge. Then we go back down to 10. But he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I will come out as pure as gold. So if you're in the fires of life, if you're frustrated by your own reactions, like I am to the testing of your faith into life, don't beat yourself up like I've been doing. Understand. Even Job questioned God. Even Job got frustrated with God. Job got bold, telling his friends, hey, if I could, I would go find God and get in his face and tell him how I feel. That's pretty bold. Personally, I would be afraid God would strike me dead if I were to be so bold and frustrated with God. So you see this passage in Job, the whole book and teaching of Job is kind of construed. It wasn't so much as Job being patient and silent as it is Job enduring the hardships, enduring the sufferings patiently, knowing that God has a reason for it. Living with a brain injury really tests your faith, because people with brain injuries are known and notorious for being short-tempered and being impulsive. So personally, I have to really hone in and try and control this and try and not to use this before I use my head. So a lot of times I find myself blaming God. Hey, you made me like this. And like Job, I cursed the day that I had my accident. But God has a purpose. And I honestly believe that accident is part of what has made me as strong as I am today. And it helps me relate to Job because I know God's going to use that hardship for my good one day. So I hope that's not too much for you on this Labor Day weekend. Hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about Job and this passage and what God is saying to you. And enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend. And if you're really curious about more of what God has been telling me, go to my website and check out my blog today where I talk about more about God's timing versus the world's ways and even our own timing. So that's all I have for you. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and come back next month and see what passage I had to share with you. Have a great one, y'all. Bye-bye.